Good morning, Mr. Pally here. Today we're going to be talking about making APA citations for online articles. So you can use the notes from this presentation to help you with two assignments. One, there's a classwork grade assignment at the end of this. And then also you'll be using these notes to help you make citations for your two science fair sources that you should have already found before watching this video. So if you haven't found that, look for the earlier assignment on finding your science fair sources. You're going to use this video and the notes you complete to complete the exit ticket for February 13th. All right, let's get started. So to do this, you're going to need a copy of the notes, the citing sources notes. You should have it in your Google Classroom or be using a printout and filling it out as we go. You should also be looking at two articles, explainthatstuff.com about static electricity and the Library of Congress. Right? So explainthatstuff.com about static electricity, we're going to be using this as the example in our notes. The Library of Congress article is what you're going to be using for your classwork grade assignment. Okay. So first off, we got to talk about what references are. References is when we let the reader know where the facts we include in our writing come from. So they tell us where the facts we include in our writing come from. They help convince the reader our writing is accurate because we're backing up what we're saying with another source that supports us. So we've been looking, and when we've been looking for reliable sources, we've been trying to find sources that have references. The reason for that is because once we can see where their facts are coming from, it makes their writing more accurate. Because it shows that we're not just making this up. There are other sources out there that agree with what we're saying, that back up what we're saying. So they help convince the reader our writing is accurate. Okay, we're on to slide 4. So there's many different ways to make references, a lot of different formats depending on the discipline that you're in, whether you're in engineering or biology or psychology or different social sciences. The most common version, and the version we're going to use for the science fair, is from the American Psychological Association. Their format is also known as the APA format. So if you hear that used in the future, you're going to know that it was a format that you've already used before. So go back here, slide 4. This is APA, is one of the most common formats in what we'll be using for science fair. So that's APA. So what is an APA citation like? What does that look like? So here's an example. There's two parts. So this quote is an example of writing where I pulled a fact from another article. So in this, they were talking about what makes for good online writing. So I included this fact from the article. And the first thing I have to do is include what is called an in-text citation. So this is something that appears right after the fact that I included. It has two parts, the last name of the author and the year published. This is like a short version. And then after you've written your background, at the bottom you're going to have something called the works cited. And the works cited is going to have the second part of the APA citation, which is called the reference. The reference includes the full information from the site. Because if you told me Bernstein 2002, that's where you got it from, I'd be like, great, but I don't know what that means. I don't know how to find that to make sure you actually got it from this source. So that means you would say Bernstein 2002 so that I could look back at your work cited at the bottom and see, oh, Bernstein 2002. Okay, this is includes other information like the title of the site, the title of the article, and the full date and the URL or the link. It has all this stuff, so that way I can definitely make sure I can find the source that you're talking about. So you need both of these when you're doing APA citation, the inline citation and the reference. So what I want you to do in your notes, you are going to be underlining the inline citation. You're going to circle, highlight the reference. So I'm going to highlight here, but depending on whether you printed this out or working on it on the computer, you're going to print or highlight, whatever is easier. So this is the works cited, or the reference. This is the inline citation. There's two parts. Okay. So let's just make that explicit here. The parts. The in-text citation, like we said, quickly lets the reader know which source in your reference list this information came from. So the first part is in-text citation. The second part is the reference list, the full citation, with enough information that the reader can go and find the articles themselves. Full citation. APA in-text citation. So we're going to look at that first part in more detail. So if we're using a fact from one of the sources in our research, we have to include an in-text citation. So that citation goes in a specific spot. It goes after the fact that we've used,